Peace. Let's see if anybody is willing, interested to come through. I'm gonna be here for 2 hours till 8 o'clock, and then um, at home I'm gonna obviously talk about Thanksgiving holiday. Why it's even more important, the stance that I think this is all what I think, my personal understanding. Why I see my stance so relevant here, and also for everyone else that when I go online, there's more bravado, there's more gusto in people denouncing the denouncing of Thanksgiving. So now it's not, I don't see a lot of denouncing of Thanksgiving. I'm seeing a lot of denouncing of any denouncing of it. It's a good thing. And I'm going to speak to all that. I just want to let people come into the chat. I've had a very long week. This is definitely a day. This is definitely a day that I could have called out sick because I almost lost my voice. Was barely able to do a show last night with my brother Toshi, DJ Toshi's Classic Stone Radio. But I was able to do it. Just a little short intro. We didn't have any guests or anything. But any questions that people have, today is a special day. People are usually having fun and everything, so I will try not. I want to build about anything that anyone asks me. I'm going to build on. I don't care what it's about. Okay, and honestly, this is usually the way I am. But in a few minutes, I'll let people come in and I'll speak about my real thoughts about Thanksgiving and stuff. The differences, why it's different this year, especially. And in the end, what I have been speaking about all year has been, it's almost gross lack of idealism. And it's distressing, but we'll talk about it. Let some people come in. Well, for the indigenous people, today is a day of mourning. When it's convenient, and I got to talk about the 85, Black Americans find it fine to not deal with this day as a day of mourning, but a day of family and cornbread and collard greens or whatever the 85s are eating at the dinner table. I don't know. $1995 was the first year where I decided to fast the entire Thanksgiving. And I haven't looked back. So it's like, what would this be, the 30th year that I'm doing this, And I end up, on this one, I'm not going to be eating until late tomorrow night. So no problem. Usually I'll do it just a day fast, but I always fast. Day fast is very easy, so I extend a little further, Plus I got some things to do, so, sit down and have a meal is kind of in a way. But what I find, here are the things I find interesting. I've been doing this for years. If you go online, you can find out bills that have very layered about Thanksgiving. This is the one a holiday that is a holiday based on fabricated history. And so no matter what anybody says, see, people think that celebration and engagement are two different things. They think if they go eat with their families that they're just engaging with the holiday, because they have to, but they're not celebrating it. And I'm telling you that no matter what you say, I don't care if you have family, you never see them, and you go see them, and you eat, break bread, you do a dinner that is unlike other dinners. You have celebrated the holiday, and I give no fucks for anyone that thinks otherwise. Everybody wants to be a rebel, everybody wants to be a revolutionary, but when it's time for the revolutionary act, they have a very clever dismissal for the revolutionary act. I find it deplorable and I find it unacceptable for this combination. For the combination of people say, listen, this is time very rare that I have with my family, or just extra time. Like, yo, it's more time with my family that I have to be with them, and I'm going to be with them, and I'm going to enjoy everything, and I like football, so I'm going to watch football, etc., etc. And then dismiss naysayers against the holiday, saying that what can they do? They're with family. And I'm saying this, those two don't go together. Being with your family is a wonderful thing, but don't dismiss the revolutionary act. Don't dismiss the acts, the simple, even lesser, simple act of rebellion. Just because you decided to be with your family, you don't get to say that this act of rebellion that is, to me, part of a crucial leading into revolutionary awareness, an act of rebellion that leads to revolutionary awareness, and say that, well, it's not important. You understand that when you decide and you have your family and you're going to do these things and you're going to have a bigger dinner than other dinners. Wednesday before Thanksgiving, you had a sandwich and spread out sandwiches. And Thursday, you had a gigantic dinner with everyone involved. You did not engage Thanksgiving because it's a holiday, you have a day off. You celebrated the holiday. I don't want to hear it any other kind of way. There is no any other kind of way with this. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that. The Father taught us to deal with our families, engage in the families. But I see people cutting turkeys and having whatever fucking meal that they have with pig or mac and cheese or all this gross shit. And then tell me that and dismiss the act of rebellion that leads to revolutionary awareness. That those that engage in this as a day of mourning and consciousness and raise the consciousness, or will engage in activities to say, well, what don't I know about Native Americans, our people? See, one of the grave things about this holiday is that it is a wonderful case study. Peace to God, G1. It is a wonderful case study of assimilation. And assimilation that has actually breeded a separation. All the Black Americans that FBA their ass out and keep saying that they're the original Native Americans, all of them are eating turkey right now. All of them are embracing this as a family day. But Black Americans, every single Black American, every single 85, you did not invent this as a family day. You did not flip it like you flipped the word nigga into this family day. That's not what happened. The Black American cannot take credit for making this a family day. You were told that this is a family day. Puerto Ricans, We don't think about how the U.S. is a continuation of appropriation and robbing of our land and resources and peoples. We generally say we are citizens now, and we are engaging in this family day. They did not make this up. You did not suddenly say, you know what, I don't care about, it's messed up what happened, but I'm going to use this as family. You did not make that up. Stop speaking like you made that up. You did not make up that this is a family day. That you know what, I'm going to flip it on its head. I'm going to flip it on its head, you know what I mean? And make this a family day. You did not make that up. The white man made that up. When this was established as a holiday, they made it up. They told you that this way to celebrate this genocide is to say, well, look at the families that exist now, and you will appreciate that. The legacy of Black Americans is arguably the most extraordinary history. Wonderful legacy. Such a wonderful legacy that this is where the knowledge was brought. Because if you gave it to the Black American, there would be one of them that would be able to give it to all of us. And that's Allah the Father. Extraordinary. That's our family. Whether you Black American, you Boricua, or yo, or anyone else. But this is assimilation, and you did not make this up. You did not willfully choose to flip it and make it a family day. You have conceded to also say, like they told you to say, that this is a family day. To also believe that this is a rare family day, even though in about 30 days, some odd, you will be at some family gathering opening presents. In 1 month, you will be opening presents. In fact, because it's the November, it's the Wisdom Build Destroy Day, you'll be opening shit in less than a month. Peace, Rome. You said our vulnerability is our responsibility, and us as men need to talk about our hurt and confusions, what we are afraid of, etc. We was taught not to express our feelings in a civilized manner. I agree with that. I don't know if that's applicable to what I'm saying right now. Directly. What I'm saying is this, though. There's wonderful memories to be made today. But I'm sitting here as someone who has fasted for over 30 years on this day, who has come to teach here for 25 times, forego his family. I don't want to hear it's the same shit. The sacrifice people make for a choice of revolution cannot be dismissed as, well, it couldn't be done on my side. When we look at the history of revolution, let's say the basic ones that we're familiar with, like Fidel Castro, a completely bonehead idea to do revolution. If you looked at his manpower, you looked at the money that he had to really engage it, the quality of his troops, it's just harebrained scheme. It's a harebrained scheme, piece of chat. And yet he took it on because others said, this Batista regime that runs Cuba is no good. But that's what we got. That's what we got to deal with. That's what they said. Before Fidel, that's what everybody said. They assimilated and they acclimated. You assimilate, you accept it, and you acclimate. You adjust to that climate. So please, if you have your Thanksgiving dinner, and I don't get onto arguments with really great people about this, even though I disagree vehemently with kind of like the way that they dismiss the rebellion against the holiday. You deal with the holiday, but if you have a meal and you never mention Thanksgiving, you never say that, you have engaged, you have celebrated it. If you celebrate family, whatever you have celebrated Thanksgiving. I don't want to hear any shits about it. And I'm someone here that has spent over 30 years not doing it. I really don't want to hear anything about anyone saying it's the same thing. You decided to go eat with somebody's family, don't eat the pork, stay in rooms that smell like pig, and laugh it up with family. Right? Oh, I don't eat the pernil, but I'm in the same room with all the smells and all the gooiness, grossness of it. And I'm telling you this, and I get to say this though, we're not the same. To study this though is why our indigenous peoples, why, and in fact, for people like me, our other indigenous peoples, for people like you, because the Black American is indigenous. He's indigenous. He comes from where he comes from, where he was brought from. He's indigenous. What happens is when you engage, which is absolutely a celebration of it, you accept a history by dismissing its value or ignoring its value. And by doing that, what saddens me is that the Black American separates himself from the other indigenous people. It's obscene. I'm gonna enjoy this day with the family. Well, you're engaging with fucking Thanksgiving. Call it whatever you want, but you have celebrated Thanksgiving. Look it up. How do you celebrate Thanksgiving? You have an extraordinary dinner with an extraordinary amount of family. A very particular dinner. Now, eventually, during this whole 4 days, I myself will end up being with a dinner with family, and they will deliberately do it ordinary. My family, they have so much love for me that they have done Thanksgiving with other family, and then deliberately make a big dinner, and basically they basically wait out my fast. Where if I keep going, I'm being an asshole. And so I got to eat eventually. I'm going to end up eating. But the Thursday no more. So where is the statement from people to say that we keep dismissing things, but we don't say what is the particular things we could do that I could teach the young ones in the family about indigenous culture? That is also our culture. The Boricua should be singing Anacahona. Should be learning about the Arawaks and seeing this and learning about all of the indigenous tribes here. Open up a book, Roxanne Dunbar Ortiz's books, the countless indigenous history books of validity. The holiday was officially made a holiday, if I remember correctly, by Abraham Lincoln, officially making it a family day. It's made a family day because it is for victors of war. And it bothers me today more than most days, because the genocide of the Palestinian people has been going on for decades, since the 30s. But in this modern time, this year and the last years are the first times that you really saw a flood of the footage, and it reached the young people in an amplified way because of digital media that was very similar to the Vietnam War, something that the Democrats completely ignored. And is one of the reasons, not the only reason, that they lost the election. They ignored the youth that cared about this. I don't know where that youth stands at this moment here. But if someone was to say that they will do the Thanksgiving, and soon as whatever you say, if you call it engaging it, a celebration, then so what? I'm celebrating family, because we're not going to do the genocide again. But we are doing a genocide. This country is in an active genocide, funding it actively. The primary funders and engagers and enablers of a genocide that is actively going on, just like they do in Puerto Rico and colonize it, like they do in all of Latin America, deliberately doing it so they have eyes on the original people. Did anybody ever remember? Black people think they have nothing to do with this. I'm talking about Black Americans here. They dismiss it. They're 85. But a genocide of the Palestinian peoples makes Israel stronger and stronger every day as a lone eye. Where? In the Middle East. The Middle East is the Horn of Africa. The eyes upon the original people. Where else would it be? Are we really thinking about this? As if they, after all the cries against it, and nothing changed. We had two candidates, the major candidates, because the Green Party absolutely was against this. But the two major candidates and the one that we have now are absolutely pro-genocide. So when you say that it's okay, no, it's just about family. It can only be about family. Thanksgiving can only be about family if they have reconciled the genocide. How could you say a genocide has been reconciled when more native land in this America gets usurped? Fracking continues. Oppression continues. And they openly genocide in the Gaza Strip. Those Palestinian peoples that look like us. They look like brown and yellow seeds that we all know. So what I'm saying is this, like, listen, you go enjoy your families and stuff. Compartmentalize it, right? She's not that fine, but she has great. Everything else is, she has compartmentalized the holiday. Don't look at the face of it. Just look at the breast matter of your food. Just look at the buttocks, right, of the enjoyment. It's okay. Compartmentalize the holiday and spend it with those you love. They become rare and rare. But don't tell me that you have done what I and others have done to deal with this as a national day of mourning and try to spend it as a day of learning, a day of thought, a day of insight, a day of activism for many. Because you have not done that. And you do not deserve to dismiss that. You do not get to act like you decided that it's all the same with you and that we're the fools here who are saying no. To do revolution, Che Guevara had to leave his family. To do revolution, Fidel had to leave his family. To cause this revolution of this knowledge of self, the father had to leave anyone that was in opposition to him. You leave your family when you do revolutionary acts. And sometimes you may not be able to return. Don't equalize this shit. Don't tell me, oh, I don't want to hear it about Thanksgiving, this and that. Because they like to picture the person that's militant against it like the militant guy in Jerry Maguire. And he just stands doing all of the holiday just with his arms folded. And what about us that engage to actually share something and give a space to someone to have different ideas, to challenge the youth to say, it is no good, this holiday, it is half-assed. What could we do to change it? I don't hear any of that. I don't hear anything indigenous. I don't hear anything. I hear, save me a plate, get me a plate, I need this. We are not the same. We are not the same. I don't want to be included in that. You will not include yourself in what I am doing. You will enjoy your family and say peace and absolve yourself, only yourself in your mind, and say it's a rare time with family, even though you will see them in 1 month with bigger gifts, bigger payoffs, and for the select bit, you'll see them again a week after and celebrate the new year with more liquor, more blunts, more fun. Don't include yourself in this shit. I had to go through getting rid of pork. I had to go through saying, I'm not going to eat this holiday. I had to go through, you know what? I'm going to do something that represents what I see this day as somewhere else, because I cannot do it here. And it is unfair to do it with you all here. So I don't want to hear anybody put themselves in the same fucking shoes that I'm in. And tell me, because they went and got their mac and cheese, that there's somebody big and bad because they saw a friend of theirs and family of theirs. My parents are gone, and when they were here, I still didn't go. I told her, she would laugh, call me stupid, say I love you, let me go. I started doing this when I still was living with my parents. To bring awareness, to tell the youth that you cannot change things by maladapting. This assimilation is maladapting, because now we have spent years and years, my generation, dismissing the genocide and saying, look, it's about the family. It's about the family. As if they made that shit up. You did not make this up. Fucking Lincoln did. Every last president made this up. Fucking Charlie Brown made this shit up. You did not make this shit up. That it's going to be a family day for you. And then you have the nerve, though, to liken it to the slave, where you only got a certain amount of time to enjoy yourselves. And so that's what you got to do. So now, in homage to slavery, you will gather together on the time that they give you and then justify it on those grounds too? How shuffling and backwards is that? You will not include that or dismiss me on either level here. And all of the people that work to do something about that. Yes, scrolling and posting things to people of your age group that don't give a shit anymore and all that, that is very wasteful. But think about this. Everyone looked like annoying, saying Thanksgiving's bullshit. It's a devilish holiday. The Indians, Native Americans, they just recently changed the name of the damn Washington Redskins. They just recently took out the Sambo Cleveland Indians end name from the Caps. Stop saying that this shit isn't real. Indigenous people are still alive. And the people that go against it the most are the other indigenous people. And it seemed very frustrating, very condescending for people to be posting all the time every year about genocide, this and that. Wow, people like, yo, I just want to be with my family, just want to be with family. And yet, this year, it proves once again, very much more than any other year, that the average person, black man, black woman, Puerto Rican, Latino, that is oppressed in this country and in this world has no sense, has taken no matters in their hands to say there will not be another genocide. They showed it when they voted, and they show it now. Because there is genocide right under their eyes right now for them to see visually. You can literally Google babies being killed in Palestine, dead babies, Palestine. Look up the statistics of the thousands of babies and find the statistics to support it. But it's okay. It could be dismissed. So don't think a holiday has no impact on the assimilate, and that the assimilationist groove doesn't cause an acclamation of maladaptation. You rewind that shit. That shit's a fucking bar. That's a bar. Because right now you're all full. You did exactly what Elijah Muhammad said not to do. You overate in one sitting like a glutton. You yelled and screamed while you watched football. You did what Elijah said not to do. You did not eat properly. And now you're watching the genocide that is happening, which means that a genocide can happen anywhere that they see fit. Who's to say that one day they don't genocide, that they don't say, we're not going to get rid of illegal aliens and have actual real vetting, right? Real vetting. Let in people that are doing everything for the economy, that can add on, and not the criminals, right?
You always know how to shoot shit. You don't really need nobody.
But actually do that correctly. But actually decide to do a genocide, because countries have done it. Peace, God. But what about if they just decide anyone that has an accent, we're gonna smoke them on the border? If they're in the U.S. side of the border, we're gonna go down the line and kill them all, because they're all enemies and we need to defend ourselves. That's impossible. America would never do that. But countries that they support did it. The American Republic did it, right? They're allowing it every day in Israel. We saw Bill Clinton. We saw that fuck Giuliani give examples of why it's logical to do such. We heard Trump explain why it needs to be so, right? And we heard Harris do the same. And, we got one of the sides to continue it. Like I'm saying, though, you can dismiss all you want. I had family over. It was fun. Okay, have your fucking fun. But don't tell me you didn't fucking celebrate. And see, it's not even the same as the father saying, give kids gifts in the Christmas, let them enjoy the festivities that are fun, right? Don't go crazy, don't go crazy talking about Nimrod just because the kid likes a fucking Christmas tree, right? Just take the time to teach him he's not a mystery God. My kid be telling all the time, Jesus Christ was, if he was born, he wasn't born in Christmas. She already knows, you know what I mean? Asks me to build on it. We build on it. But she's gonna get her gifts, right? That is a religious belief holiday that was designed to be accepted as people's beliefs and activities to support the belief. This is a holiday that's commemorating a history. And when you break that bread, you have given, become part of the army that commemorates that action. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about the shit. Now, instead of complaining about how you feel bad because you're looking bad for, you're not looking revolutionary enough. Nobody wants to be a things. Poor righteous teacher. Poor is the sacrifice. What do you give up to share a truth? What do you give up to share a truth? I want to know what people are willing to give up to share a truth, to sacrifice being with loved ones. Let me read these comments here. Self-magnetic, piece of the God. Chad, yeah, you never thought of it like that. That's Peace God, yeah. Chronicles of a Hip Hop Legend by D.D. Turner. That's a lot there. Not to mention the recurring matter of displacement of indigenous people still, right? What about the movement of the last couple of years? We're talking about this century of the stolen sisters, the indigenous women that get stolen. That's your people. That's your people. The Black American here, that's your people. Black Americans want to say that they're indigenous people. They're the Native Americans. They show the proof, like Jack D. Forbes, who was an indigenous scholar, Native American scholar, showing that all these census data and all that, they confused it. They would lump us all together, and that's why, yes. We were lumped together. We were seen as one together. We was deliberately oppressed as one in varying and in similar ways. But when it comes time to Thanksgiving, no mention of a genocide, or I decided to be with my family. I know, but I didn't kill the Indians, this and that. That's fine. That's fucking fine with me. But don't dismiss the other people that actually care about it so much that they will do something. That they want to make the day something where they could do something indigenous. And I don't care if this weekend you don't do anything but go somewhere to get a book. If you just email me and say, Sunez, give me good indigenous books to read, I can learn about my other people. That's it. That's it. People go around, oh, what doesn't matter because the Indians, they had slaves too. And so did wealthy blacks. And so did the Indians, did a whole bunch of shit. There were hundreds of tribes being played against each other. The politics was crazy. As if a people are a monolith that are in all these different tribes. That's like years from now, you're trying to explain somebody, listen, that person was a Black American, but he didn't like that bullshit music from the fucking South. That trap shit. He didn't like that shit up top. He didn't, right? Not everything is monolith. The history is detailed, it's nuanced, it's horrific. It's filled with bad decisions, good decisions, and decisions that couldn't even fulfill themselves. It is a deep layered history. It is not the babiness. They got smallpox, they got gunshots, and they're all gone. It's so much more layered than that. G1, you said, I hear you, Lord. You're right. Not saying this to be complacent or justify things. Aren't we all living under the program's colonialism to a degree? In some way or other, it's revolutionary strive against? Absolutely, G1. Yeah, we all are. We all are. You know? And this is why, to me, the Black American has to see this as a day of direct camaraderie. And even if we talk about genocide, that Thanksgiving counts because a lot of the thankfulness that the white man feels has to do with many, many, many moments of genocide of Black America. Many genocide moments of Black America during the era of Reconstruction. There were whites that flew planes and bombed Black townships. Genocide. If there's anyone other than the indigenous tribes in America that know about genocide, it's the Black American. And when they dismiss it and give me all the world, I look at you, my piece of big mama gonna make this, and give me a lot of cliche stereotypes that have been embraced for the good and the bad as Black American tropes, it takes away from the possibilities of fucking revolution. Revolution, a change of mindset. That this is not good enough. That we could do better and we're gonna not do it until it gets done right. That's what we were taught means right and exact. That we're gonna keep messing with things until they get right and exact. But why? Why? What makes them right and exact? So go be with your families though. But what makes it revolutionary is that you have in your mind, well, what could we do better? It shouldn't be just this. I'm with my family, I'm having a loving time, but it shouldn't be just this. Pick up that beer, that wine, and give a salute to the indigenous people. Give a salute to the people that were genocided on your side as well. That it's not over and that the war continues. Turn it to something else. But don't just be on some, I'm gonna get my mac and cheese, I'm gonna get my dinner. I'm gonna be here, I don't care. You've assimilated, you've acclimated, and you've maladapted. G1, you also said, I'd say as creators and revolutionaries, you should be forming celebration for our indigenous ancestry and culture. Yes. G1, you said, I commend you for standing on your square, being a builder towards revolutionary transformation and advancing righteousness further from the devil's code. Appreciate that, God. You said, I'm outside daily living life godly as planned, doing my duty to build up self and life around me. So I'm with you. Not against eating with the fam. I'm not necessarily at the holiday gatherings, though, either. It's just that something has to be done. If there was an important holiday, right? If there was some important holiday, family gets together, or one day that you could sacrifice, why couldn't it be that one? The one that's based on history, the one that's based on us accepting history. They'll tell us it was founded on a historical precedent that is a lie. And then they tell us it doesn't matter because it became about family. But you didn't make that up. They told you that it's not important, that it's about family. They told you that. It's literally not, they taught you how to assimilate it in your life. And that's what makes it so atrocious to me. And then where is the moment? We have these things. Columbus Day becomes Indigenous Peoples Days. And I don't see people do anything to learn about Indigenous people. And then this day comes and I don't see anything. So when is that time that you do that? Just like Black History Month. We spend a lot of time commemorating things, learning things. And honestly, people complain about it being a short month, but it's probably one of the most useful months that celebratory months that there is. Peace.
Peace.
It actually has some work, right? So this is what I mean, though. I'm gonna be here until 8 and stuff, ranting, railing, what have you. But like I said, we could talk about anything that you want. We don't have to talk about just this. Um, but it's something that I don't think any year that will pass by that I don't speak about it as passionately. And I think it's more so frustrating, seeing the blatantly seeing the effects of genocide on the Palestinian people, where we could see video, you know, and you don't have to look too far to see it. G1, you said I'd say that it's because unlike these colonized holidays, indigenous celebratory days aren't popularized through years of mass program. Yeah, that's true. That's true. You know, and it's my railing is not really toward the 5%. When I see my elders, the 5%, and they would Thanksgiving stuff, and they would go with family or something like that, you're seeing elders that they, for years, they were on these streets away from their families because no one dealt with it. So if anybody knows what it's like, they traded the 364 and kept the Thanksgiving. You see what I'm saying? People be like acting like they give up the 364 to be with family, and then they need that 365th day, Thanksgiving. I'm full of shit. I'm telling a lie because in 1 month you'll be cracking gifts open with family. I don't want to hear shit about that. I don't. The necessity of being with family is so overblown with Thanksgiving when the largest, most corporate holiday of the universe is 1 month away. It just, it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Doesn't make sense. You know? And again, I don't have the same vitriol for any other holiday than this one. Guy, you said I used to wonder what it was like when back in the day people were being prosecuted. How did they feel? Now we're in the same time and seeing it in real time. Persecuted you, right? A weird feeling. Yeah. You know, I mean, Black Americans, Indigenous, all the brown peoples that have been persecuted are dealt with in a racist fashion. We're watching the past when we look at the Palestinian people. What would the past have looked like? Right? When the Spaniards came over, took over Borinquen. It looked something like that. What did the past look like when they forced the black man and black woman here? Well, what are the effects like? Something like that. And I'm the average 85 is gonna 85. But I'm seeing conscious people, like people that know better. Like I gotta buy your record. I have to spend time listening to what you have to say on a record and this is the fucking best you could do? You don't get paid time leave. National holidays abound and shit, right? How come black folk don't go Martin Luther King Day, a national holiday, and they all go Martin Luther King Day? We make a big meal, the biggest meal. We are doing our Thanksgiving on MLK Day. Now that's something. Now that's something. You know what I'm saying? No, you want to use a day that they give. Well, if there's a day that was fought for, it's that one. Right? Because remember, Martin Luther King Day holiday was not a day that was going to be a holiday. Right? It was not just granted. That was fought for as well. Wouldn't it be wonderful? No, we don't have to do Thanksgiving. But we will make this MLK Day a big day. I would love to see young families, not these old people, young families say, you know what? You know, I got to visit family, my parents, grandparents. That's what they do. I got to go over there. But I'm going to teach my kids something about indigenous people on a Friday, on a Saturday, on a Sunday, that fucking holiday. You know, your kids aren't going to school Thursday and Friday. And in your own family, you say, you know what? We're going to make our own big dinner, but we're doing it on MLK Day. And my children, they're going to think about things that they're grateful for, that because they were fought for, and things that could be done, that need to be done. The more that we could do that can be done. How about that? That would be wonderful. Right? And I don't care if you're Boricua, any kind of brown man, yellow man, because we got revolutionaries everywhere. Pedro Bizu Campos, all of that. MLK could be a revolution day. Because, yo, whatever you want to say, which I find not really fair, if you don't think that MLK was as hard hitting as you think, and this and that, he was a revolutionary. As much a revolutionary as anyone else, because he sought to change things for the better. Not only that, though, he didn't do it. The way that he fought for change is revolutionary because he was not going within the system. You know, whether we agree or not, sitting at them lunch tables demanding certain things, that's not going with the way the system allows you to deal with it. He was going against the grain, right? Whether you are on the Malcolm side of revolution or in between somewhere, it's revolutionary. And you can celebrate, he is worthy enough to celebrate all revolutionaries with a wonderful dinner in January, right? Or did you blow all your money on Christmas? Right? I mean, we have to do something. We have to change the timeline. It can start out as an intimate dinner, you know? And I'm talking about things that I can't even do because I almost never have my children on those days. You know? I haven't been with my children on Thanksgiving these holiday, the Thursday, and even usually if it's the Friday, it'd be late Friday, but never on this Thursday for I don't know. I don't remember it. I really don't. Probably going back 15, 16 years. Now, how do we engage revolution? You know what, Malik? That is so well said, man. Today is that nothing we are given, yeah. Because in some kind of way, it is a dismissal of the genocide that people are having. If we're here eating a family dinner and yucking it up, and other indigenous people, our people, are in mourning, then that means that something's wrong. And people keep saying, no, it's about the family, it's about the friends. No, it's not about that. It's not about that. It's not about that. I'm saying it's got to be about more. People engage their family and friends way more than they do any type of revolutionary act. Revolutionary act, eating the right foods. Revolutionary act, continually training. Revolutionary act, teaching the youth with no gain for yourself. Sacrificing time and money to uphold the principles that you've learned. In our case, this knowledge of self. Imagine if we measured people by their sacrifice for what is not theirs. There is a wonderful sacrifice. And this is something I learned from my own family. There's a wonderful sacrifice of monumental proportions to take care of one's family and sacrifice it all. One's immediate family, brothers, sisters, children, husbands, wives. But there's also a necessary demand of a sacrifice for those of your people that are not your kin. And how does that get done? How much work do you do for those that are not of your kin? That's what I'm talking about, right? How small is your family, right? People give me I get a lot of respect. It's wonderful. But I don't think I've given as much to this nation of my 5% family as I have given to those outside of the 5% family in sharing it. Because this whole nation is based on sacrifice. I was supposed to spend most of my time sharing it with other people because of the forums like this classroom. It ends up being for the nation. But really, I'm spending most of my time sharing to those who are not. Maybe oftentimes those working to be curious and learn about or seriously engage this knowledge itself. And so it's the two birds with one stone effect. But what are we particularly doing for the children that are not our children? Right? It's not helping Palestine. Today, a whole nation, millions of people from the nation that bankrolls the genocide dismiss a genocide, a killing of people. We're gonna be, our people are gonna thank the mystery God for taking care of their family. While apparently the mystery God is out there killing other families, right? Letting other families get killed. I don't know, man. All right. I am freezing, so I'm going to get some reps in here to warm up. I'll look at these comments in a little bit. Don't forget to make your toy. Look, 2 bands. These are 2 jump rope handles I use. You know, get some good rubber bands around them. And there you go. It's one of the best supplemental exercises to add on to a good weightlifting calisthenics program. You know? All right. Malik, you said the imagery that will go down in the annals of history is right upon us right now. The question is, what do we do with it? Or what should we do to change the narrative, what we go along to get along? Just a thought about seeing genocide in real time, just suppose it would happen in the past. Yeah. I think people lost the immediate, they showed this holiday here, the way it's being dismissed so more vehemently. And I'm not talking about white people, I'm talking about black people, Latinos, is was easily predicted because look at how the election went, right? So easily dismissive, you know? It's not important, right? But let me know. I'm gonna be here for an hour. Or more. I'll be here till 8 o'clock. Anyone have any questions about anything? Listen, email me. Let me see if I can go talk about indigenous history. Let me see if I go through some books that are very good. Some of my favorite books about indigenous history that anyone can tell me for because they're in the collection. Whew, it's really cold here. All right, as that opens, because my laptop is a little slow today. Let's see what we have here. Categories, right? Categories. I'm still working on categorizing all my books, but I do have a history category for Native Americans. So, okay, here we go. All right. By the way, that movie, so if you guys want to watch a movie, if you got older teens and you want to show them something very interesting movie, Killers of the Flower Moon. That's a book. It's a book by David Graham about the Osage murders and the birth of the FBI. It's a good movie. It's a good movie with DiCaprio and everything. And indigenous actors. I forgot the indigenous sister's name, but she was very good in it. Um, a very grim story, and the book was very good. But that's a way to go too. You know, I mentioned Jack D. Forbes, Africans and Native Americans. That's more of a the subtitle is The Language of Race and the Evolution of Red Black Peoples. That book is a very um, it's kind of it's a hard read, not because it's difficult to understand, but it's a very redundant read, kind of. You know, it's basically presenting a lot of information and analysis. So it's not really like a history. It's more of an analysis of the perceptions of the history, how Africans and Native Americans were perceived, and how they intermingled and stuff. So it's more of an important book to have as far as that goes. Um, okay, I don't see it here yet. I got like a lot of books here, but I mentioned Roxanne Dunbar Ortiz. I have an extra. She has a lot of books. I have five of her books. Um, Her major book to get is the and Indigenous Peoples History of the United States. Seminal read. Amazing, amazing book. Uh, yeah, Jack D. Forbes. Jack D. Forbes. Yeah, yeah. Remember, a lot of it's like Asians that they all get the name Lee or something like that. Like and even you know Black Americans when they had to pick a name. You know, a lot of indigenous people in this society they were made and often forced to pick a name, a more anglicized name. Yeah, and like there's a book here, and you have to you would never guess it was a brother, like, and then you find out. But Roxanne Dunbar Ortiz is one of the great scholars. She has a book called "All the Real Indians Died Off" and 20 Other Myths About Native Americans. Another one called "Not a Nation of Immigrants: Settler Colonialism, White Supremacy, and a History of Erasure and Exclusion." I don't I don't think I read that one. That's going to be one of the ones I read. Oh, I'm clicking here all point here. I clicked wrong here, so I have to wait. But I read two. No, how many did I read? I read three of her five books. Loading on disarming of the Second Amendment, history of the Second Amendment. It's not really an indigenous history. It has indigenous aspects in that history, but it's broader based, of course, right? Um, I'm trying to do something here. I can't seem to. Ah, okay. All right. So let's see what other indigenous books. Let me go back to the main category here. All right. Of course, if we're talking about indigenous history outside of the United States area, there are good ones. Eduardo Galeano. There's a book I have about the Aztecs. I just got. I haven't read it yet. Called Fifth Son: A New History of the Aztecs. I'm interested in that. A really great book about indigenous history from Wounded Knee onward, as opposed to up to Wounded Knee, you know, and the Battle of Wounded Knee. And it's called The Heartbeat of Wounded Knee by David Treyer, Treuer, and Native American from 1890 to the present. So it's interesting to get a history of the original peoples now, like, you know, they're still alive, And so that was an excellent book. I really, really got a lot out of that book, you know. Of course, there's Charles Mann's 1491, right? New Revelations of the Americas Before Columbus. I'm not done with that book, but there's a lot of good stuff in there. Um, I have a lot of books I haven't even read yet. Um, let's see. I have a book here about the women of the American West, biographies, autobiographies. Interesting one. Indigenous Content by Pekka Hamalainen, The Epic Continent for North America. That's one that I want to get into as well. You know? Oh shit, I just pressed. I'm here pressing the wrong things here. This mouse is not helping me, man. I just deleted something from the shelf, man. Seriously, man. Try to do it from the app here. File. Just file, man. All right, let me put it back where it belongs. You know what I mean? What's going on? Okay. Yeah, okay. So, man, because it's like, yo, the book, the indigenous book that I'm currently reading is called The Other Slavery. The Uncovered Story of Indian Enslavement in America by Andres Resendez. Resendez. You know, reading that one. Good one that I had. Some good ones that I got. I read this one. It's very short. 21 Things You May Not Know About the Indian Act, Helping Canadians Make Reconciliation with Indigenous Peoples a Reality by Bob Joseph. Again, Bob Joseph is indigenous man, but you know, they anglicized, they give themselves an anglicized name. Interesting book because it opened up to me the hells that indigenous people in Canada go through. And they are quite racist against the indigenous people there. Um, good books I just got. We Refuse to Forget, A True History of Black Creek's American Identity and Power by Caleb Gale. Let's see. Fresh Banana Leaves, Healing Indigenous Landscapes Through Indigenous Science by Jessica Hernandez, PhD. She's an indigenous woman too. And I think I heard an interview with her on the Progressive Radio Hour with Gary Null, and also on Star Talk Radio with Neil deGrasse Tyson. So I got her book. I haven't read it yet though. Um, Books about Geronimo, Sitting Bull. I've got a lot of those. Um, I have an interesting book I haven't really explored called The First Astronomers: How Indigenous Elders Read the Stars. You know, books about the impacts of colonialism, current books about policing the indigenous movements, dissent in the security state. Like, you know, I have up to date books about what they're dealing with now. Mythology books, Myth and Legends, Early Indians, the story of our ancestors and where we came from. Let's see. A lot of great stuff, you know, and this history is always intriguing to me, you know. Books about the Cherokee Nation I have. Of course, books about Wounded Knee. They make a lot. Standing Rock, right? Greed, Oil, and the Lakota Struggle for Justice. So I have current books about Tecumseh, right? The same Tecumseh that sits as a statue in the Cheers bar. If you watch that program, um, Native American poetry, different biographies. I've collected quite a bit of novels too, man, by indigenous authors of today. So you know, books about the Lakota, and the author that wrote Indigenous Continent, Pekka Hemalainen, she wrote a book about Lakota America, and that's one I want to get into too. So she's a author of note here.
Oh, man. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
All right, let me to do this. I can't really see what people are writing. Um, Peace to the God, freedom. 793rd piece. G1, you said check out the 500 Years of Resistance. You know what? I collect a lot. Let me see if I have it though. Okay. Yeah, I got that book. Yeah, yeah. It's by You're saying it's a comic book, but I actually have the actual book. There's an actual book called 500 Years of Resistance by Gord Hill. So I have a book with that same title though. I don't know. The comic book is based using that. It's a short book. I didn't mention it because it's a very short book. I read it years ago. But I don't have a graphic novel like that. Um, you said it portrays flashpoints in history when indigenous people have risen up and fought back against colonizers, other oppressors. Groundbreaking illustrated uh, history of indigenous activism and resistance in America over the previous 300 500 years from contact to present day. Yeah, so I actually have that book, but not as a graphic novel. So you know, so yeah. Really, you went to Cheers, right? That's peace. Yeah, it's one of my favorite sitcoms of all time. So if I go down there in Boston, I definitely gotta you know check that. I don't know. I guess I'd like to definitely check out Malcolm X's Rest. You know, maybe a Celtics game, right? Or a Red Sox game. But yeah, there's a lot of books I got about indigenous history, whatever you're interested in. Books about the Mayans, Apaches, of course, a bevy of crazy horse books, right? Histories about Red Cloud, Wild Bull, the Seal Nation, Alcatraz, right? The notorious prison. Right? Black Elk. It's a lot of stuff, man. A good book I haven't read is Empire of the Summer Moon. I've read a lot about that book. So that's one that I intend to read as well. Um, but again, I'm collecting daily, and mind you, I haven't shelved all of my books, so I probably have more than what is in the category. I have to. Um, but yeah, again, why couldn't we take this time to think about, learn about more of, more about our peoples? You know what I mean, and it would be a wonderful time, to do that. All right, so let me know who's here, what you guys want to build on. Killer, I just spoke about that movie. Yeah, it's a very good movie. Very good movie. Yeah, very good movie. I read the book actually, and I have the book if anybody's interested in reading the book. I have the book, and then I read the book, and then you know, I read the book, and then I saw the movie. So I thought I thought they did the story and the history justice. Very well told. DiCaprio's, he's a great actor. And he's not, I just don't like him playing devils like Ed J. Edgar Hoover. You know what I mean? But yeah, and it did lead to the founding of the FBI. You know what I mean? But you know, it was a very well acted movie for sure. Definitely on Oscar worthy stuff. You know, and that sister on Apple TV, she's in another movie who played DiCaprio's wife. You know, the indigenous woman. She's in another movie that's on Apple TV. So it's nice to see like some more indigenous stories and stuff. You know, yeah. So definitely want to check that out. You know, so you know, but I be forgetting about stuff too. You know, when it comes to excuse me, I'm freezing here, so I'm yawning. But when it comes to you know, following every movie and program, access to a lot of stuff, but I get overwhelmed. All right, so let me know what you have. You know, as we go in the last 4 weeks of the year, I'm gonna go through particular lessons. You know what I mean? Particular lessons um, that I think is a good foundation for really getting us to plan and stuff. You know, and if we're doing that, you know, a major way to plan is to really think about how we're gonna do some of these, you know, holidays, like make them meaningful and stuff. You know what I mean? It's very important. You know, sometimes I'll wear I got polo with Indian chiefs heads on it and stuff, and I was wearing one. Just happened to be so. I wasn't thinking about Thanksgiving, and I was just wearing it this week. You know, the young students, the children, you know, they didn't know what it was. They never seen it before. You know, like we don't live in those times like when we were young. We lived in times where like Indians were major players on TV because westerns were a thing, and so we got used to seeing Native Americans as the villain, you know, the villain. And but when I see the youth now, they've never seen this stuff before. Like the, you know, the chief head logo with the headdress and everything just looked crazy to the kids. Like it didn't make any sense. Like they were like, "Who is that? Is that somebody you know?" Like that's what they asked me. Actually, yo, do you know who is that person? Like, you know it? You know? They don't like, you know. I got relatives, you know, that could look that he could pass for things like that. You know? Man, I got an uncle that looked man, like he come out right from a, you know, Cowboys and Indian flick. You know what I mean? Right. So I think in this society, especially now, as we become more in our expansive bubbles, because that's what all this social media and digitizing of the world, we're in a very expansive bubble. Sometimes you have to deliberately expand the bubble to bring yourself into the real world. You know, how do we lengthen all of this? How do we expand it? You know, just something to think about. You know, we have to constantly. That's why I said, like, in the build awareness square, the BAT plus lesson I give out. You know, what you eat, how you train, what you read, what you write, how you share. These are all things that to have a knowledge of self, we have to have a knowledge of that. And we often don't have a knowledge of it. Can't remember what we ate. Don't really remember if we've been training this consistently these last couple of weeks. Uh, Not sure about all the things I read or saw. To name them, I don't know. Not sure. So I'm not really sure what is influencing me. Definitely don't really know all the things I said and been saying and been writing. So I can't really tell you about that. And so I can't tell you how exactly I'm choosing to or not to share. This is why it's important. We have to constantly gauge like what's missing. What's missing in all this? We have to find what's missing at all times. Right? It's very crucial. When you use this, it's an isometric exercise. There are isometric holds throughout, slow, careful movements, or fast movements. Right? One of the greatest indigenous influences in your life or histories you've come across. Oh man. Honestly, I do see myself as one of the 2 million Indians. You know, my old earth was able to trace herself back to Arawak lineage. You know what I mean? That lineage. Um, and so she was very proud of that. You know, and so it always begins with her. You know, but in my times and stuff like that, just little conversations with indigenous peoples. You know what I mean? Certain events. I remember building with Lakota Indians. You know what I mean? And just the way that they saw life. You know what I mean? In other words, like some of the way that they saw the land, the way that they saw the earth. Like, yo, it's okay to embrace that. Like, it made me feel like it's okay to embrace that perspective. That this can be a daily thing. You know what I mean? Right? So that became something that was important to me. Right? Trying to think of the histories here. Um, off the head, there's no particular indigenous heroic history. Even though the major ones like Crazy Horse are inspiring, you know what I mean? Um, but what always intrigues me about indigenous history, especially the last couple of years, like maybe probably the last 10 years in my studies, is the interaction and interplay between all of the tribes, That's always intrigued me, Because what are we doing with all this revolution? What are we doing with all this teaching that is revolutionizing? This knowledge of self, all these things. We're eventually going to come to a day where we'll have the power to say, well, what type of society do we want? And those questions are going to have to be asked they're going to have to be answered before we have access to that power, And there are many things that they do or that they did that I agreed with on many levels. And so that's what's impacted me the most. Not per se individuals. And that's mainly because a lot of my studies on it aren't really about reading about the individuals, but the entire tribes or the entire perspective of the tribes and history in America. You know. But I'm sure as I go along and I start reading like distinct histories, which now that you say it though, there's a lot of distinct histories that I have, bios that I mentioned, and those are the ones I haven't really delved into. You know what I mean? But knowing the God Day Son and stuff, Crazy Horse, knowing about Crazy Horse and his militancy, um, that's always been inspiring to me. You know. Hmm. I haven't heard of John Horse. Right? No. Mixed African Seminole ancestors fought alongside. No, that's in the Second Seminole War in Florida. That's peace, God. King and Chief probably had a big beef. I gotta hear that song again. Can't trust it. I don't remember that lyric though like that. Yeah, that's a good bar right there. But yeah, today's math is wisdom build and destroy. Is this way we're honest with ourselves? This way of just dealing with families and stuff. We know that it's destroying something. We know that it is certainly not building up a particular people's way of life, right? If you even did the weakest of research, you'd know that this day is seen as a day of mourning. We know something's wrong, right? We know something's wrong. Why do they see it that way after all these years? We see the genocide again going on in Palestine, and we should know that it means that everything that the Native Americans here are speaking on is still relevant. And instead of looking at it as like, well, that's long gone, we just say, well, didn't we go through genocides here ourselves as well? Mass lynchings of Black Americans. That's genocide. That's genocide. You're not gonna remember the genocide of others means you're gonna ignore and dismiss the genocide of yours. I can't. How could you talk about reparations? Reparations that include and must be paid for the genocide that has been done to Black Americans. And yet dismiss the genocide because you have this particular day off and it's about eating with the family. There are so many national holidays, so many religious holidays to do this, and that it does get done. Let's keep it real. How many people that see their families on Thanksgiving are also like, well, I did Thanksgiving, I ain't got to do no Christmas. That, that happens, but not always. And for large populace, I'd say less than more. How come most people don't see Thanksgiving the same disdain? Because of the propaganda, you know? Like I said, most Black American 85s, they speak, and Latinos speak about embracing the day as just a family day as if that's what it was made to. Like they had a part in making it that way. You know what I mean? Like they thought of this flip and you didn't. That's the major thing. It was propagandized to go with that flip, to be that. You know? And that's really the reason. That's really the reason. You know? Now remember, they're called Indians, right? Because it was a way of Elijah Muhammad showing the exclusive that the Black American wasn't the exclusive definition of the original man, right? To show a distinction, and that's very important because remember, one of the very next lessons is what? English lesson what? Right? The 1 to 36. Right? And that is a major distinction, right? So, I think that's why there was a particularity in there. I also think that if we juxtapose that, compare that with the God degree in the 1 to 14, Elijah's giving a very particular definition of the Indians, right? Those who were exiled from India and then come here, right? So he's also acknowledging that indigenous original people, the original man, has varying travels to America and through the world. Thus the different genotypes. Excuse me. Thus the different phenotypes that are encountered. Yeah. Yeah. Exile from India, right? So I think it's rooted in there. For him. It's connected. You know. And really though, these are all migrations from Africa at different times for longer periods of time. Phenotypes develop uniquely, distinctly, but it's all original people, and that's the key, right? That is the key. You know. But yeah, for those who are here building, I'll be here for about another 20 minutes, and ask me any questions that you have about anything you want to build about it. I know I'm militant against this holiday, but I also know that people are bound by love, and it's a wonderful thing to be with family and stuff, and I just don't appreciate the the dismissal of it. You know, you're doing your family, you're with your family. You know, revolution is a sacrifice. You know what I mean? There's revolutionaries, right, that feel that one of the worst things about revolution to go to be one of those anti-revolutionary acts is to actually own a house. If you own property in the place that you rebel in, though, you already have some goal to protect it somehow. You see? So I say that to make note of how revolution is a change of all sorts and all ways, and defies all authority that exists at the time. And it's so much deeper, you know. And I know that the Father had us become part of society, add on to society, you know. But He already knew that what we were teaching was so next level that it would be by default revolutionary. Okay? There you go. I'm old. I'm old. All right. So, any more questions? It's good questions you want. Many of these days and throughout the last 24 preceding Thanksgiving Thursdays, um, I often would be alone there, you know? And, it's still cold. I don't know why the school is so cold. We gotta get this heat popping. But I would often be alone. I'm not alone here though. The guy who shot Christ is here and everything. He was here. But 'cause I don't have keys anymore. They keep changing the locks on me. You mean, Malik, if you eat meat, what's a good protein source? Like, I don't know. I don't eat meat. I don't think any meat should be eaten. If you try to transition, stick with wild salmon and, get rid of the meat. No. Oh, man. And you see all these pictures here, all the elders. The elders we lost here. Return to their essence. How are we going to continue to build so lazily? To build with fury, intensity, wherewithal. All right, so I'll be out here in a few. Let me know what questions you have, okay? Anybody that's there. Right. Almost winding down. So yeah. Malik, I don't know what you meant by that question though. So if anything though, text me about that. You know? Um not sure if you're looking for vegetarian vegan sources of protein, which is really my expertise, right? Um, you know. When you have a meat eating diet though, you don't really have a problem getting protein. It's just that you're getting proteins that come with a lot of other negatives, right? Just like if you're having dairy, you can get a lot of protein, but it's the negatives that come along with it. So that's really what it's about. And then the assumption that there's no, you can't get protein from anywhere else and stuff. But, yeah, not true, not true. You know? But yeah, man. Anyway, anyone that's really tuned in, it's only been a handful of you, a couple of you. I appreciate everyone that really tunes in. Um, I'm always appreciative because I know that what I'm doing, a lot of things I say is really, um, it's nothing less than extreme. But to do great things is to do them extremely, right? Whether extremely well, extremely horrid, but extreme. Sometimes that's the only way. I mean, look back at the history of this nation. It's the definition of extreme. Right? So, yeah, so, we go back and decide how we be revolutionary. Thursday, you want to laugh it up, drink it up, eat it up. It's 4 days, though, right? Usually, right? For most people, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Where in that time can we find something indigenous of worth? Because I know when I pick up my daughter tomorrow, we're going to do it again. We're going to talk about that, you know? And she had her Thanksgiving thing at school last week. Not this week, it was last week. And we talked about all that. Yeah. So, we're so used to being steeped in our own contradictions that we're quick to embrace hypocrisy, you know? And, we have to take a stand. We have to take a stand with something. And this is the time of year, this holiday season, where you see people not take a stand now, and it's not the same as listening to a fucking Christmas song. It's not the same as buying your kids gifts for Christmas, you know? Lines can be drawn with a religious holiday. Like, listen, we're not going to be doing the mass. We're not doing we're not putting a tree up and so we can put nativity sets in there and bullshit like that. We're going to give the kids presents, wrap them up, and enjoy the festivities so they can enjoy cartoons and things like that, whatever it is. Right? My daughter's 11 though, and I've already explained to her like the history of Christmas, and you know, even though we enjoy the Christmas carols, certain renditions, some are horrible, right? And she knows, like, yo, this whole Christmas spirit and season stuff, this all exists because this guy made up this novel, Charles Dickens. Flip the script, right? We have to do something. You don't want to be educated by some other adult on the damn Facebook. Don't do it there. It's easy for you to look like an idiot there. That's not where you do it. You know? And for your own personal thing, sacrifice something. When do we run our own families, though? And keep it real. When do we run our own families and not our mothers, our fathers, our grandparents? Soon we are the patriarch. Soon you will be the matriarch. And you will just repeat the same thing. Said you had to do it because they were the ones. And when they're gone, you'll just do the same damn thing. I just took my choice earlier. Just like Allah became the father, I became the father of everything in my cipher. Immediately. Not later. Immediately. So that's what we did. Right? I had it no other way. So I'm cold, I'm rambling. I hope that this has been of worth. We'll go back to particular lessons tomorrow, you know? I mean, not tomorrow, next Thursday when I'm here, you know? We'll go through particular plus lessons, but look back on this rant, look back at what I was saying. How can we, what's the difference between using a holiday, using it, but as opposed to being used, you know, because again, if we're just being thankful and getting together and stuff, that's what they told us to do, right? They literally told you to do that. You made it like it was your own decision to say, look, I only can see family. You are doing what you were told. And don't tell me you're not a slave. Don't put me in your boat. Don't put me in your boat. You know? Because the days that I had when my oldest was young, and I actually had her for this day, we'd be here. I'd be fasting, and I'd get her a nice meal. And it would always be fun because it's me and my child, and we always have fun. But she got to see the sacrifice, the worth of things. It's important, and yeah. All right. All right. With that, I'm gonna let everybody go. I really have said everything I could say today. Um, this is the 25th class I've done on Thanksgiving, and you're adding definitely all the good protein sources, and right on, right on. Right. So with everything said, if you're with your families, continue to enjoy them. If you're eating pumpkin pie and stuff, and cranberry sauce and a turkey, gross. Do all that. You know what I'm saying? But you know, plot, plan, prepare for doing something realer about it all. All right. Peace.